Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. We've got a really fantastic show for you today and for tomorrow. It is about our second half of 2024 real estate predictions, and a lot of these predictions will also carry over into 2025. Before we get to our first prediction, Julie and I have a big announcement. This is something we've been teasing for, I don't know, Julie, how long? 2 years?
Yeah, at least 2 years.
We've been working on doing a massive upgrade inside Premier Coaching, but specifically to our buyer product. And when we heard about the changes that were going to be happening to buyer agency, we put that on the the front burner, and we have got it done, and it's in production now. So here's what it is. Those of you who are in Premier Coaching now, you know about the pre-listing pack that we prescribe for you to use when going on listing appointments. Well, we've created something, and I have to say, Julie, it's one of the things I think we've created that we'll be the most proud of because it'll help the most people. We've created something very similar for buyer agents, and here's a concept of how you would use this. This isn't ready for market yet, but it's going to, and I'm going to tell you how you can get your name on a list. Everybody is worried about how they're going to essentially be dealing with buyers after the big change, which happens middle of next month. And, they're confused about, well, how am I going to be getting the buyers to agree to pay my commission, and how am I going to show my value, and all these things. Everyone has these big lofty ideas and conversations going on, but nobody has really drilled down and made a practical, tactical solution, essentially that's turnkey for all of you just to plug into. So you can just, go back to basically life as usual and sell houses to buyers and get commission as normal. And so that is what this package will do for you. As it does with the listing pre-listing pack, this is going to essentially be your silent salesperson. For example, it's going to, you're going to give this package of information. It's a total of, what did we end up with, Julie? I think 14 pages, right?
Yep. 14
pages. And it's going to, essentially what it's designed to do is sell you to the buyer, and then answer all their questions that they might have about working with you, answer all the tough questions that you're in fear of them asking, mostly about commission, answer all the kind of the thorny questions about representation and all the rest of it. And you're just going to give this to them ideally a day or so before you meet with them. They can then review it. They can answer all their questions. That way, when you do actually sit down and meet with them, prior to showing them homes, when you get the paperwork signed, they're going to already have had all their big, thorny, hairy questions answered, and all the stress is going to have left the room. You can see why this is going to be something that everyone's going to want. And so what this is, it's hard for me to describe. Basically, it's going to be like it's just like a pre-listing pack. It's by design for sellers. That it's a folder. When you open it up, there's 7 pages on each side, and they're waterfalled. And some of the pages, for example, there's going to be testimonials. There's your home buying team. There's a page in there about your compensation. There's a page in there about your different USPs. And what Julie and I really did is we drilled down on what the USPs are going to be for all of you. USPs is a unique selling proposition. The fear that's kind of, I think, floating around the industry is, what am I going to do to make myself different, to make a buyer want to actually, agree to commit themselves to paying commission? And that's what the USPs are all about.
That's exactly right. I'm so excited about this. I think you are too. And you mentioned USPs, unique selling propositions. So these things in your packet literally answer the question, why would I want to go ahead and sign your buyer representation agreement? That's the elephant in the room, isn't it? That's what you guys are all freaking out about. Why would a buyer do that? Well, remember that when you're closing for that signature, the definition of a close is the logical ending to a great presentation. We are giving you this great presentation to take that elephant out of the room. You are going to have exclusive, home finding plan. You're going to show them that you don't just use the MLS. Some of this should sound familiar to those of you who listen to the podcast. You're going to have, of course, a page explaining buyer representation. You're going to talk about the mutual agreement. You're going to talk about your home buying team and all about yourself. So, that way it's a logical ending, and it's not weird for them to sign your agreement.
So this is going to be turnkey. There's nothing going to be for you to create. You don't have to think through things. We're going to do videos training you on how to present each of the pages if it's necessary, which usually it won't be. And then you'll be off to the races. Now, we don't have this product ready to market yet. Like I said, it took Julie and I don't even know how many hours. I won't say
Epic work, we'll say.
Yeah, we'll just see epic work, right?
Yeah.
But if you're interested, we've got a wait list going, and because what we're going to do is we're going to release this to 100 agents. And then we're going to let those 100 agents basically start using it. And then we're going to get feedback. And then we're going to release it to another 100 agents. This is, we could just sell it to everyone who wanted to buy it, but we're not going to do it that way because we really want to keep quality control really high. So if you're interested in this product, which you sure as hell better be, because it doesn't make sense for you not to have something like this. What else are you going to do? Please text the word buyer, B-Y-E-R, to 47372. That's all you have to do. And you'll go on a list. And then and as soon as the product is done, then we'll text you back with a link so that you can go and peruse the product and obviously decide to purchase it. So text the word buyer, B-Y-E-R, to
B-U-Y-E-R.
Oh, shit, did I spell it wrong?
B-U-Y-E-R. That's okay. That's why you have me. To 47372. You're going to text the word buyer, B-U-Y-E-R, to 47372 so you can get on that list.
Yep. Again, buyer, B-U-Y-E-R. To 47372. All right. So that's a quick text. Get that going. Get that done. Do that now. You can do that while you're listening to us on the podcast. Just go to your SMS and text the word buyer, B-U-Y-E-R, to 47372. And you'll be on the list. And as soon as the product is done, we will text you a link to go and then watch the video explaining what the product's all about. And then you can decide if you want to engage. And like I said, we're only going to make this available, I'm going to guess, Julie, what do you think? End of August, probably?
Mid to end, yes.
Yeah,
just
to
in time.
100 people. And then we're going to probably, then to September, make it available to another 100 people. So get your name on the list. More information will be coming out over the next few weeks. We're extremely excited about it because we know for sure it's going to save many of your butts, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Because what else are you going to do to make it so that, you're going to be able to effectively work with buyers? Because you now have to get the exclusive contract signed. You now have to essentially prove to the buyer your own value, and then you have to get the buyer to effectively agree to pay your commission. And we're going to explain all the different variations of how you can go about getting that done. Again, it's going to be something that'll answer all the questions. So frankly, all the things that are making so many agents so nervous, they're alleviated. We have, created a solution to your problem. So that's going to be coming available soon. Text the word buyer, B-U-Y-E-R, to 47372. Did I spell buyer right?
You did.
Okay,
Very nice.
good. All right.
Yeah.
So let's get to we don't want to call this predictions podcast. We're going to call this expectations. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell you what we think. We're going to sort of summarize what many of you, well, hopefully all of you know is going on in the market. And then we're going to give you an expectation or a prediction of what's going to happen for the next 6 months into 2025. And as often as possible, we're going to cite specific, evidence to why we believe the way we believe.
Exactly. So we're going to do this. The year is more than half over. What does the second half of 2024 hold in surprise, and what should you expect going into 2025? Buckle up as we dive into the latest trends, the facts, the predictions to help you stay ahead of the curve and maximize your success. So point number one, and is there a way that they can get these notes?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So you have to obviously subscribe to our newsletter and just go to harrisrealestatedaily.com, harrisrealestatedaily.com. And all of these notes in long form, Julie and I are, what we present on the podcast is probably 50% of what is actually in our notes, because we create these notes primarily for the newsletter subscribers, and the newsletter is free. So just go to harrisrealestatedaily.com and you can subscribe and get all the notes for all of our past podcasts. And we do strongly encourage you to use these notes. We create these notes in the expectation that you're going to reuse them for social. You're going to use them when talking to your own, prospective and current real estate clients, that type of thing. Maybe you're a broker, an office manager, or a trainer yourself. This is great content for you, but you have to subscribe to harrisrealestatedaily.com. Thank you for reminding me.
No worries. Okay, so the first point, current market sentiment. Many of you are living this every day, so it shouldn't be too surprising, but here is the fact. Would-be homeowners are holding their breath for potential rate cuts by the Fed. Transaction volumes for new and existing homes do remain low this year, but the silver lining is the rising inventory, which gives buyers more negotiating power. We've all been wanting inventory. I mean, it's almost been a decade, right?
Okay, so you and I just listened to a podcast.
Yes.
It was
Logan Motoshami.
I cannot pronounce his last name.
It's okay.
So Logan was expecting or dropping the idea that there'll actually be a Fed rate cut next week.
Yes, that's
which
what I'm
is
hoping
which
too.
is effectively the beginning of August, and there might even be another Fed rate cut after that. So you have kind of what is brewing to be the perfect storm. You have rising inventory, and many of the I was thinking about this last night, Julie. So the markets right now where we know that there's rising inventory, where we know it's shifting towards a buyer's market, are also the same markets that have been the hottest markets for the last 5 years.
Yes.
Austin, Miami, different markets around the
Parts of
country
Florida, yeah.
that have been leading this crazy accelerated, home appreciation inflation, right?
Yes.
Those are the same markets now that have excess inventory that are starting to come back down, which means that the other markets are going to obviously follow.
They'll follow.
But the only thing that's going to probably kind of level that off is if you have, obviously, a Fed rate cut, which is going to bring buyers back to the market, which is going to bring existing homeowners who've been sitting on the fence waiting for more inventory to come for sale so they can put their house for sale so then they can move up or move down. All of that is going to happen. And we do believe, we can just summarize all of our expectations, but we do believe the Fed rate cut in combination with a really significant increase in inventory is going to right all the wrongs for the last year in the housing market. And we are going to experience tremendous momentum going into 2025. So get ready.
Yes, that's right. And I've seen some agents posting, oh my gosh, there's more inventory coming. Well, isn't that what you wanted? Of course
Exactly.
it is. Because here's the thing. Here's why you shouldn't freak out about more inventory coming. I know it feels weird. Some of you guys have only sold in a market starved for inventory. Here's the thing to remember. We still have just under 3 offers for every closed transaction. It's bubbling around 2.9 to 3.1. So let's call it 3 offers for every deal. And so if we have 3 times the inventory, we're still just barely in a balanced market. So it is fantastic news for buyers. Expect fewer competing offers, a lower likelihood of going over list price, and no more stress over guaranteeing the appraisal gap. Leverage this to your client's advantage. It's a good thing. Take advantage of higher inventory.
Call all your sellers who basically decided not to put their homes for sale because they couldn't find something that they liked, and let them know that the market is shifting to favor them getting back in the market. That way you obviously pick up a buyer side and a seller side. Point or expectation prediction number 2.
All right, here we are again, the NAR settlement implementation. The fact is, August 17th implementation date for the NAR settlement is just around the corner. Are you ready? We're working hard to get you ready. Remember what we talked about at the top of the podcast. Are your sellers and your buyers prepared? Here's the prediction. As the deadline approaches, expect a rush to finalize transactions under the old rules, potentially boosting short-term market activity. I have some stats on that from last weekend, actually, from the coaches and a lot of our coaching clients. That is happening. Here's your action plan. Stay frosty with state-mandated and broker-required form changes. Polish your buyer presentation and start using it now. We are here to help you with that. Remember to text BUYER, BUYER, to 47372. That way we can help you with that. Don't wait until the last minute. Don't be one of these agents that's just going to wait and see what happens. And certainly don't be an agent that thinks that any of this is optional. It used to be optional. This is what we've always coached. A lot of the presentation is based on our original buyer presentation. However, you now will be out of compliance if you don't do it.
Right, exactly. So the nice thing about working with Buyers Forever is that it's mostly a social experience. It was physical labor for sure, and it did take oftentimes a lot of time. But it didn't require a lot of skill because, frankly, the seller was always, essentially going to be paying the buyer's agent's commission. Well, now that it's not happening anymore, now that there's not even going to be a spot in the MLS where you're going to be able to see what the buyer's agent's commission is. There's not even going to be a spot on the purchase contract. You're going to have to learn how to essentially get your commission covered as part of the transaction. That's going to create a lot of consternation for a lot of agents, even experienced agents. Frankly, mostly experienced agents who've had the institutionalized buyer agent commission as part of the real estate transactions for decades. They're the ones I think are going to struggle the most. New agents are going to be, tell me what to do. But our pre-listing pack for buyers, where it's going to be called Ethical Real Estate Professional buyer specialist. All of that is going to be done for you so that in essence, you can show them the pages. They'll read the pages with the explanations that we provide on your behalf. And then they're going to sign your exclusive, and they're going to sign your agency form, and they're going to sign your buyer net sheet, and you're going to be off to the races. Because we have determined various ways that your commission can be paid, all of which will make it so that, frankly, you can avoid that thorny conversation that a lot of people want to avoid. Point number 3, expectation prediction number 3, Julie. Harris.
That's right. Existing home sales decline. It is a fact that existing home sales dropped 5.4% month over month and year over year to 3.8 million units on an annualized basis. However, in spite of all of that, the median sales price rose 1.8% month over month to an all-time record high of $426,900, setting that new record. Here's the prediction. The combination of declining sales volume and rising prices suggests perhaps a tightening market, potentially exacerbating affordability challenges for buyers. But what do you do about that? And I looked up this. I'm going to do a podcast just on this. There are actually over 1,000 first-time buyer down payment assistance programs available. Are you familiar with them? Make sure your clients are. We did a podcast about 2 months ago about early responders and stuff like that, and fireman programs and first-time buyers, FHA, VA, all of those types of things. But as a result of the prices being higher and inventory tightening until recently, there have been all sorts of new lender programs, first-time buyer stuff, down payment assistance, all of those things. So I am going to do a dedicated podcast on that.
Well, there's also, this isn't one of our predictions, but it's a good place to toss this in. There's also every reason to believe that, Fannie Mae will be coming out of receivership in essence, and that you're going to start seeing there are a lot more creative low down payment mortgage products. And you're also going to see the government through Fannie Mae is going to start buying mortgage-backed securities. All this stuff is very nerdish, but the bottom line is interest rates will go down, mortgage availability will increase, and you're going to see that those buyers who've been now maybe priced out of the market are going to be able to find their way back into real estate. Because here's the thing. Even if real estate now has an average sale price, a home has an average sale price of $426,900, which it does, their rents are going up too. So you can say buyers are priced out of buying a home, and I get it. But the reality of it is they're going to be having the same upward inflationary pressure on their rent payment. So sooner than later, that $427,000 purchase price with the payment at a lower interest rate will actually be on par with what their rent is, or will be marginally more to the point where they'll be able to rationalize figuring out how to make that higher payment based on the purchase price. You guys get it? So essentially the market will catch up with the new reality, especially with falling interest rates. Be very excited about that.
Exactly. Now, here's something that people are talking about because of the lower amount
Is this number
of sales.
4?
Number 4, yes, sorry. Fact is, current sales of previously owned homes are at a pace reminiscent of 2008. What we're talking about, pace, means the fewer number of sales.
Let me level off there, because
Yeah.
this is we didn't drill down on this. 3.89 million units on an annualized basis. So the prediction is there's going to be fewer than 4 million home sales. The last year there was 4.2 or something like that?
Yes, and just for comparison, the boom years of the pandemic were between 6 million and 6.5 million.
Right. So we're talking about a market that is, I don't even know if you want to call it a recession, but I'll just use a dramatic word. The residential real estate market is definitely in a depression, and it has been for quite some time. So if you want to know what a tough real estate market feels like, you're in it. And if you're really succeeding, like I was talking with Chuck Williamson in Tracy, North Carolina, I think, and he's having one of his best years ever. I don't want to tell you how much money he's making, but it's well over 7 figures.
Great.
And it's because of this market, because his competition doesn't know what to do, and he's kicking absolute butt.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is that even though this is a tough market, which it is, it doesn't mean that there aren't people out there making millions and millions of dollars, and you can as well. So don't get stuck in the headlines and the drama. And, I just told you something that was very dramatic. This is probably going to be the worst year in residential real estate. I don't even know how many years, decades.
In terms of number of sales.
Yeah, in terms of number of sales, right.
Yeah.
In decades.
Yes.
And so this is what the bottom probably feels like.
I think that's where that little comparison to 2008 comes in, is that was the bottom of the previous housing, crash, if you will, or recession, all for very, very, very different reasons. So that's why I wanted to clarify when we talk about a housing recession. In this case, we're talking about number of sales. We're not talking about short sales, REOs, foreclosures, or anything like that. People have tons of equity, and that's a great thing. I was thinking about that this morning because of the whole commission conversation. The houses are still getting list price, sometimes more than list price. There is equity. Things will normalize. But I think that's where that 2008 comparison comes in.
I'm hesitant to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we
ahead.
never talk politics, especially on our podcast. But it is worth noting that if there is a change of administration, you can decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. There most likely will be a change of a lot of the housing policy, especially as pertains to the buyer agent commission sharing stuff. So some of the pain and anguish, and frankly, the stuff that just doesn't even make sense, that might get all washed out if the administrations change. So just for what it's worth, today's problems might not be today's problems in another 6 months.
Well, that's true. However, keep in mind that the types of things you have to do now to have your buyer commit to you and to be compliant, those are the things that everybody should have been doing all along anyway.
Sure.
One of the things that we're including is, for example, the buyer pre-qualification, which everyone should be doing anyway. And every now and then you're going to have a buyer that maybe doesn't work with you, and that's going to save you a lot of time and anguish and stress. So it's all good. I was saying that because if things do get completely revised, which I agree with you, there's a certain percentage that could happen, then we'll pivot as well. But the things that you're having to learn for August 17th will also serve you well regardless going forward, because you're just having to clean up your act, basically.
Yeah, you'll find yourself working with fewer unqualified, unmotivated buyers, and you'll be more efficient with your time. And guess what? Sell more homes and make more money, help more people. Prediction, expectation, numero cinco.
Yes, easing competition. Here's the fact. Homes are lingering a bit longer on the market. 22 days in June versus 20 days in June 23. I know agents like to freak out about that. It's still only 20 days. Fewer homes are selling above list price. There's 29% are still selling above list price versus 33% last year. Here's the prediction. As competition starts to ease, buyers will have more opportunities and more negotiating power, potentially stabilizing prices. Expect to see more expired listings, an opportunity for motivated agents.
That I did not know. So Julie's good with her research. So that was really fascinating. Did you get that, listeners? So 22 days is the average days in the market in June of 2024, and June of 2023 is 20 days. So that's kind of nothing, right? But what's really fascinating is the list to sell price ratio. This I didn't know. 29% of homes this year in June were selling for over list price, and last year it was 33%.
Which shows an easing of that type of activity, right?
But it also shows that a hell of a lot of homes are still selling for over asking price because of competition.
That's right. It's just funny. It's all about perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many agents that I see them post online all the time. I try not to look at it, right? Look away. Where they say things like, oh my gosh, I've had a listing for 40 days. Oh no, 40 days. We're coming up on like the fourth weekend. What do I do? And that does seem, and I appreciate that seems like forever to some of you. But again, couple that with the fact that we're still selling 30% of listings at over list price. So it's not doom and gloom. It just means it's moderating.
We're obviously optimistic. And I mean, full confession, we normally are, but we're optimistic because this does feel like the bottom to us. And we see every reason to believe that the market's going to come back. But to Julie's point, it's not just there's not just a switch that's going to get flipped. It's going to come back slowly, especially because the next 6 months also, it's the holidays and there's always a seasonal slowdown, especially, all that. But into the spring of next year, you're going to see the momentum really accelerate. That is definitely what it feels like to us. Does it feel like that to you? Let us know in the comments. Let us know what you're actually thinking about, what you're experiencing in your marketplace. And if you're not feeling as optimistic about the future as we are, I want you to ask yourself, what is that doing to the actions you're taking today? It's a bit of a mindset point, but it's true. If you believe tomorrow is going to be, worse than today, you're going to not take actions today that you otherwise would have, because you're thinking to yourself, why the hell should I put in this extra effort? Why should I, learn my scripts or learn how to present or, engage with Tim and Julie about this new buyer product they're coming out with if I don't believe the market's going to be there for me, 6 months from now, let alone 60 days from now? Well, then what's going to happen is even if the market is significantly better because you weren't prepared, you're then in catch-up mode and you've missed the opportunity for you to have be building the momentum now into what will very much feel like a boom market. For a lot of you, especially after the last few years, right? It is even a slow, moderate improvement is going to feel like a boom. That is for damn sure. Sure. Expectation number 6.
Okay, our final one for today, new home sales stagnation. We're talking about new construction stagnation. Fact, new home sales dipped 1% month over month in June 2024 to 617,000 units nationwide. The median new home sales price rose 2% month over month to $417,300, remaining flat year over year. So what's the prediction here? Continued stagnation in new home sales may lead to increased inventory levels, further easing competition, and possibly slowing price growth a bit. When I read all of those facts together, Tim, I just think more choices for buyers. It's all good.
Oh yeah. I mean, all this is good. If you and I were still selling real estate And I had just listened to these 6 points, and I'm going to listen to in anticipation of even more, I think, good news. I'll listen to tomorrow's podcast as well because I'm a Tim and Julie Harris real estate coaching fan, right? But if I'm listening to these past points, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I need to drill down. Mm-hmm. I need to be taking actions now in preparation for what sounds to me like a very buoyant future. I cannot be allowing myself to be sucked in to the drama and the bullshit, especially in an election year, because it'll trash my mindset. I cannot allow myself to think that I'm just going to rebuild my business starting next year or the year after, or, in 3 days or 3 months or whatever, right?
Around.
You got to be taking the actions now because you're going to miss the opportunity. When things feel like, there's this Baron von Rothschild, right? Maybe this isn't the most appropriate of quotes, but it's where my mind went. When there's, this is an exact quote, so bear with me. When there's blood on the streets, buy real estate. The essence of that quote is that when everyone else basically is running for exits and they're full of despair, you've got to seize the opportunity because the market's going to come back. Warren Buffett, he says this, he loves down markets, stock markets, because that's when he buys. So he made the point with Coca-Cola. He said, I bought Coca-Cola for whatever it was, $10 a share. And then a month later, there was some big stock market, thing, and it was now selling for $6 a share. Did I all of a sudden think that it was the Coca-Cola was worth less than $10 a share? Did I somehow in my mind think that it didn't still represent tremendous upside value? He said, of course I knew it still represented tremendous upside value, but now I have the opportunity to increase my tremendous upside value by 40%. Mentally and emotionally, try to engage with that level of thinking and get out of the fray. During an election year, which we're experiencing right now, it is the hardest time to have a positive mindset because everybody who is, frankly, very manipulable and malleable. Thank you. They're very, they're very influenced by all these, gratuitous headlines. Mm-hmm. So my strongest advice for all of you, and Julie, I think you'll concur, is absolutely go media free. Absolutely give yourself a media break. Try it for a day, try it for a week, try it for a month. Only listen to select podcasts that make you feel good. Notice how you're feeling after you consume content, after you read something. Hell, even after you talk to somebody, you watch something. If you're not feeling excited and if you're not feeling motivated, if you're not feeling in alignment with your highest purpose on this planet, which is being of service to other people, then you need to remove whatever that was from your life because it's not in alignment with your potential. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So if you want to know what you need to remove from your life, who you need to remove from your life, ask yourself when you're around them, when you're talking to them, when you're listening to them, when you're reading them, when you're watching them, how do they make you feel? Do they make you feel scared? Do they make you feel angry? Do they, all those types of emotions? Or do they make you feel excited? Do they make you feel motivated? Do they make you feel optimistic? Remove all the negativity from your life, and it's going to require that you be honest with yourself about who it is that's negatively influencing you. Otherwise, you're not going to see the opportunities that are all around you because of this market. The greatest fortunes of men and women have always been made during the greatest times of change. We're in one of those greatest times of change moments now. Seize that opportunity for yourself and for your family and for your future. The future version of you will very much sing the praises of the current version of you if you heed that strong suggestion. So, your homework for today is I want you to text the word buyer, B-U-Y-E-R, to 47372 and get on our list. We're going to be releasing our new, I think what will be one of our best products ever at the end of next month. And so that is going to be your turnkey solution to all that worries you with regards to the new commission sharing buyer agency rules. You're going to definitely want this if you're an individual agent, if you're a team, if you're a broker. Text the word buyer, B-U-Y-E-R, to 47372. We're going to be selling 100 of these. We're actually going to have a list of the first 100 people that help us launch this product. They're going to be called founders. More on that later. But the first 100 are going to get early access to this. Then they're going to help us maybe find some ways that we can make it better. And then we're going to re-release it probably maybe September, maybe October. It just depends. So get on the early release list because you definitely want to get ahead of the curve on this. Text the word buyer, B-U-Y-E-R, to 47372. In the meantime, thank you for keeping this the number one listened to daily podcast for real estate professionals. It is our pleasure and our honor to be your real estate coaches. Have a fantastic day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.